Imagine you move from a place where you lived all your life. Imagine you move and you leave all your children and wife. Starting all over again, but no one you know is around. Well, they didn't have to imagine. They built it up from the ground. How does it sound? Not easy because it isn't. Could have praised them, but it didn't. But the Ray Bond, that's a winner. And they ran straight to the finish. You get to know them up close and personal. Wait, just give me a minute. Welcome to the front row. Can I get a drum roll? Intentional. We may be immigrants, but we are still intentional. We are dependable. It's just that set the bar, but still the best of all. We are intentional.
Welcome to the Intentional Immigrants podcast and channel. I'm so delighted that you're able to join me here today. I'm your host, Yolanda Jack. Today we'll be looking at some ways that you can get the Canadian work experience. As immigrants coming into a new country, oftentimes we are told that we need to have Canadian work experience. But how does one go about securing this coveted work experience so that we can get the job that we need in order to start anew? But just before we look at some of the ways, 3 ways, in fact, that we can get this experience, I just want to remind you to like, share, and subscribe. The podcast can be found on Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, and Podbean. The YouTube channel can be found at Intentional Immigrants YouTube. And our website is www.intentionalimmigrants.com. All right, let's get into the meat of the matter. Coming into a new country, we're often told that we need to have Canadian work experience. Yes, we know we're qualified for the job, but what is lacking is us knowing how to operate in the Canadian work environment, which is pretty different from what we're used to, wherever home is originally. All right. So one such way that you can get the work experience is one by volunteering. You can volunteer at your child's school if your children are still in school. If they are not in school, then there are other ways that you can volunteer. In the school environment, or usually some schools offer like a breakfast program. You can volunteer to assist with that program. You can also volunteer to sit on the parent council. And there are many other ways that you can volunteer at a school, if your children are still in school, of course. You can also volunteer at senior citizen homes, or at the hospital, or at your local library. You can read to children, or you can read to other persons. I've even seen instances where people are reading to pets, such as dogs at the SPCA. All right, so those are some of the ways, or some of the places that you can volunteer so that you can get involved, you can get acclimatized to the new environment, new culture, everything that's different from what you're used to. All right, the second way that you can get that experience or get the Canadian work experience is by signing up at a welcome center. So if you sign up at a welcome center, usually they provide language training, and this is called Language Instruction for Newcomers to Canada. So that's the LINC program, LINC, and this allows persons whose first language is not English to learn English so that they'll be able to function in the Canadian environment. It also caters to persons who may not have finished high school or their English is not very good. Then it allows them to learn the language so that they'll be able to function. As part of these federally funded programs, they usually have a segment that they provide internships. So they'll give you some on-the-job training so that you will get acclimatized to the work culture, the Canadian work culture. The final way that you can get Canadian or your foot in the door is by signing up with an agency. So this is not a free option. Usually the agency will place you in a job and then they will take a percentage of your pay. And this is how they get their money. And you'll be able to get the experience that you need. So those are just some of the ways that you can get the Canadian work experience that you need so that you can, one, get into a job faster, and you'll also be able to know how to function when you're in that workplace environment. All right, so that's it for today. As usual, I'm your host, reminding you, he who watches the wind will not sow. He who watches the clouds will not reap. Ecclesiastes 11 and verse 4. You were born for greatness. Step out into your greatness so that mankind can benefit from you being here. So long, until next time.
Intentional. We may be immigrants, but we are still intentional. We are dependable. It's just that set the bar, but still the best.